It's final table time at the Party Poker Premier League. 12 came to Montreal, but only 6 remain as these stars of the game take their seats one last time in a bid for the Premier League title.
This is not normal poker. This is like fun, style, points, like this and that.
That's so tilting.
You're so hopeless, it's amazing. You play that garbage?
Wow.
I gotta be ready to hug you.
It's so insane.
I'm 100%.
It never ends. God, this place loves me.
Nicely done, Jeff. Nicely done.
No, my mind's just absolutely blown. Punishing poker gods for this call. Ooh, I call. It's like unreal.
I'm a sicko. I need a sweat.
I am in Barney rubble trouble.
Premier League stuff is sick, bro.
Tonight at the Playground Poker Club here in Montreal, we get the cards in the air at our coveted final table, where the players compete for the $400,000 winner's check. Here's a reminder of the lineup that will be competing for this prestigious title.
To win the Premier League, my first ever one in Montreal would be unbelievable. I mean, I've, again, watched the show on TV, and I really respect the format, and there's just 12 great players. It's an awesome opportunity, and obviously, being chip leader at the final table, put myself in the best position to win, and now I just gotta play my game and let it fall how it's gonna fall.
It would mean a lot to win this tournament. I mean, I've never won an official title. I've come so close so many times, a lot of seconds, a lot of thirds. And I feel like this would be a title worth winning, and this would be one of those titles that I could say, wow, now I've actually won a title.
Winning this tournament would be great because maybe it puts another feather in the cap and shows that the first one wasn't just a fluke. But honestly, at this point, I feel I'm just playing great poker, and therefore I'm more confident in my game and the decisions I'm making, and hopefully this all translates into a big win.
I'm pretty confident going to this table today. Anytime playing poker, I always go in just trusting my gut. My first instinct, I always go with it. So this is going to be just the same thing. Every player at this final table is a stud. You know, they all play such great poker. It's going to be really tough.
I think winning the title would definitely be huge for me in my career. I mean, I haven't played many of these televised events, really. I mean, this is one of the first ones. So if I just came out and basically won the first one I played, that'd be a pretty bold statement, I feel like.
I usually don't get frustrated about poker, and I was just feeling a lot of anxiety and frustration in some matches, and I was like, why is that the case? And then I realized it was because I've been watching Premier League since I was in college, and I'm here now, and I want to do my best, and I want to have a shot to win. And if I did win it, it would be phenomenal. It'd be a great feeling.
It's one of the most exciting final tables we've ever seen here at Premier League. It's the young guns who have dominated this season, and this final table will be a real show of the new forces in poker who are beginning to rule the game with their talent. Which of these 6 will take down the title? This is how the chips look at the final table. Each of our 6 players have been allocated a set number of chips according to their league finish, plus a bonus 1,000 chips for every point gained. Jeff goes to the top there, same points as Dan Coleman, but with higher finishes across all his heats. Sorel, Mizzi, and Brian Rast also finished top 4 to make it through automatically. Scott Seiver and Jason Koon are 2 players getting their seats by way of the heads-up playoffs.
It's time to get the final table of the Party Poker Premier League 7 underway. The stakes are high. It's not just bragging rights for this group of high-stakes friends. It's also a $400,000 first prize. Let's shuffle up and deal.
Stand up and be counted here. Premier League 7. And Phil Laak, one of these 6 players will become champion. And there's going to be a huge mark of respect for the guy who can hoist that trophy. Yep. Obviously the money's there, but bragging rights, it's big.
JG, chip leader. We haven't even started yet, and you're chip leader. How do you do it, JG?
For me, what makes one of the things that make Premier League special, Phil Laak, is that obviously every tournament takes skill to win, but there's a real understanding here that skill and tactics are such a premium in this Premier League that whoever the guy is who comes through will have really had to raise himself above his peers. Right now, of course, Jeff Gross occupies the temporary post, being chip leader and points leader through the heat stage.
Wow. Yeah, he really owns it right now.
And, you know, blind starting at 2,000 and 4,000. Of course, the top stack, Jeff Gross, 587,000, well over 100 big blinds. Scott Seiver, on the other hand, short stack, only 50 bigs.
And now, is Jeff Gross going to... I mean, he's never called from the small blind with King 7 in the entire... So it looks like this. Looks out of the gate, he's decided to just start playing the way everyone else was playing all other times. This is the first time, right? This is the first time he's done this in the first round of any period. It's the first time he's done it when it was
they let
three-handed
the horse
or more.
out of the gate, and there's no bridle.
He's never done this 8, 7, 6, 5, or four-handed. He's only gotten a little bit out, and this is a tough part of. You know, look at this. This hits.
So big question.
Jason's going to steal this, I think, because this is just. He knows that he's against tens or ace king or ace queen. That's what I would feel like, and I don't know. Well, Koon just is done. It's all of his tight play.
So there it is. Hand number one. Hammer down.
Hammer down.
Jeff Gross.
He might just have decided. All we've done is talk about how tight he played for the last 4 days, and he knows that he's just sitting there in the van thinking, okay, yep, that's how I play it. Now he's ready to take. If I see a lot more of this from him, I'm going to be like, oh my God, he really played everybody off. That was just the first hand, you know.
If Jeff Gross can pull that club out of his bag, this could be over before anyone knows what hit them. And of course, being this the final table, being the staggered chips, there is laddering in play here. You know, it's just like any final table, Phil. $40,000 guaranteed for all these players, but then it's $60,000, $80,000, $120,000, $200K for second, and the big money plus the trophy up top.
Yeah. Now this is a place where I think JG will fold, even though he knows. Before he was first in, this is different. When you're second in, you know, you're not going to win the pot with putting 10K and you're just calling. So, well, I think he's just going to fold here and let things move along.
Well, and also, you know, there's a fine line between changing your game plan and giving it away, right? If he comes out here and just goes bonkers for the first 6 hands, it doesn't really accomplish that much because the jig's up.
The jig's up and he's only won a little bit in that meantime. This is a super real hand. He's going against a 200 stack, but you know, 4, 20, it's like 40 big blinds, 20 big blinds.
Yeah, but it's not like if you believe it.
Yeah, and Dan Coleman, I mean, you know, you've said it many times. He's got this plan everyone knows about. Start out tight, then speed things up, and then go bonkers by the time, you know, the blinds get big. But this is a little bit different because he's got the second biggest stack.
Now that he has money.
Well, he's playing all the super high rollers. He sold his packages,
but you know,
so well, like even if he ships a couple of those, it doesn't mean.
Remember, Seiver started with 50 big blinds.
I'm sure we've all said stupid things on the camera.
This is like in a cash game, I would just defend right out of the gate.
Not say it, he probably wouldn't. But
I mean, not if he believes.
He probably felt it at the time.
So he's just going with a standard line. This is standard poker line. I was thinking with the points and whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, but I would say
different lines come up all the time with the points.
Everyone said double.
Right, and a big question.
That's a big hand for nines. I mean, if he was losing, he's just opened the door for more chances to win. And if he was ahead, he's maintained the feeling of aheadness. You know.
Yeah, and Seiver is usually really good post-flop. I mean, is this an obvious check-back situation? Well, he has.
I'm done saying that everybody says he's got kind of ripped me for it, but I feel
probably knows he's good here.
Yeah, that's a good hand for a value. I think he's just going to check call at this point. And I think that's why it's going to go check because Seiver is probably thinking I'm against the jack. That's probably not going to give up. No, will Coleman turn his hand into I think this is a bad bet, but this is just my style. I would just check call. I don't know.
You would want to induce a bluff as well?
Yeah,
maybe?
whatever. Like, who's calling? Is an ace-8 calling?
Right. You don't need to say it.
I understand though, it's like it's here in the moment, you know.
I don't know.
No, but also he's in that moment where he just won, you know.
No, but the amount of heat people gave him is disproportionate to like what
Coleman
how
takes
bad
that on the
what he
river.
said is. You know what I mean? Like
Of course, we're starting this table six-handed, so a little bit different from the heats right off. You can play more hands. Final table action from Season 7 of Premier League continues in a moment.
I have standards, Scott, okay?
I really don't feel I won, but I really don't feel I lost either.
It's still good to be you, win or lose.
Welcome back to the Playground Poker Club in Montreal for the final of the Party Poker Premier League. Season 7 has been arguably the strongest field the event has ever seen, and now the final 6 have taken their seats where one will be crowned Premier League champion. Let's get back to the action.
Yeah, for those.
All right, Scott, we got to do the question game before
I'm out here.
before you bust. You've been playing pretty aggro. What's the square root of 16?
The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Wow.
Scott here trying to answer 5 questions incorrectly. Mizzi's been pretty unbeatable at this.
What question are we on?
4. The Pittsburgh Steelers.
Wow, you played this game before, haven't you?
Yes!
What?
Because I have. That's the bet.
You haven't played the game. That was a non-verbal answer. He went like this. Right? Have you played the game before?
Is this your question?
No, well, it's already over. I asked you.
Non-verbal. I thought you said verbal.
Well, we never specified whether verbal or non-verbal. I think we're going to need arbitration for this one. I asked him the question.
The 5th question was, have you played this game before?
That is true, but I thought it was like that's. I don't know if that counts as an answer or not.
I don't know.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't mind this. I don't know.
Was that the 5th question? Have you played this game before?
Like I said, I don't have anything on it, so I don't even know.
I mean,
that is tricky.
You said no, like in a non-verbal way.
Can you say like some?
Wow. By the way, you.
They did this thing, and they've got to get it adjudicated.
I still think my personal belief is that means the answer is no.
I think it's close.
I'm happy.
Well, by the way,
I'm happy to have Rast the arbitrator.
There's a few problems. Number one problem is that like someone over there said like the 4th question that wasn't even him. The bet is it's like you're asking Scott questions. Yes, I know, I realize that, but things started to get like weirdly skewed there.
So Gross has raised this under the game.
It happened during the 5th question.
Yeah, exactly.
That it got really strange. I mean, it's hard to say that. You can't really say that Scott won it.
It was just the 2 of us. I'm pretty certain I would have gotten it, but that clearly wasn't the case. But
yeah,
it's like,
I mean, he did shake his head no.
I really don't feel I won, but I really don't feel I lost either, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't really say that Scott won it, but I'd feel bad saying uniformly that Scott lost it.
I agree.
I feel like the arbitration should be some kind of like slight, either break it or a slight weight towards like having Scott lose.
And does this happen often in prop bets,
like
Phil Laak, where they have to be adjudicated and it's not clear?
You have to go and you have to get arbitration. It happens a lot.
Who is your favorite arbitrator?
Rast is good.
He is taking over the Solomon role right now, isn't he?
If we were in a quiet room, I think I would have nailed it for sure.
Was
but
like,
that wasn't the case.
That was just like contributing to the commotion that happened towards the resolution of the bet. Because like all of a sudden in the middle of the 5th question, like everyone started like talking and you guys were looking at each other and it mucked it up. I mean, there's no way that,
I think there's very little money on this, but Rast is adjudicating in the same way as if this were a $100,000 bet.
Meanwhile, pot is brewing.
Well, Gross has now fired the turn after betting the flop, and to me, this is a move that he would not have made in the heats. He might have bet flop, but how often does he double barrel turn?
He doesn't
with the 2
double barrel
fives?
turn, and somehow Seiver's read through it. The tightest guy at the table. Really, honestly.
So you win.
But when tight guys bet, their range is really polarized too, because they're not value bet. Like,
I feel like I would win.
I don't know. It's like weird. Somehow Seiver feels that he's just got to hold on.
But he's not holding on for a river bet, is he? He's very short stacked.
But I don't know.
Has he got?
Is JG gonna bet the river? Maybe Seiver says I'm going to fold if he bets, but I don't think he'll ever bet if he's bluff. I don't think he'll bluff me. I think I shut down his bluffs.
Like if the commotion's still
Jeez, he's really
he's
really
just thinking
squeezing
does my
this
hand
out.
have showdown value? I mean, I beat 5-6, I beat 6-8, I beat 8-10, I beat a lot of draws,
I
but
honestly wasn't even sure if you were the one that had asked or not.
He gave it up.
I'm just saying, like,
And Seiver takes it
Like, I
down.
was pretty certain you said it, which is why I definitely don't feel I won. But honestly, if it gun to my head, I wasn't even 100% sure you were the one that had asked that last one. Yeah. Like I was pretty certain you were, but it was like 4 people talking
I'd
at
like
once.
to
You know what I
congratulate
mean?
you for being the closest person to ever win.
I truly think if we were in like a quiet room, just the two of us, I would have won.
His head no. It was a non-verbal.
Like you see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Like
That's why I was talking about promotion.
Yeah, if I was in a quiet room, I would have gotten it right. That's not what's being asked here. It wasn't in a quiet room, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was quite interesting with Sorel Mizzi. Of course, you remember he was the first one in this Premier League to build a massive stack when there were 7 left, and everyone was saying the kind of tactics you need to be using there, you know, to be ultra aggressive. He didn't do it. Kind of went and won the heat his way, and afterwards he said, you know, I disagree with all those people. You know, I'd like to do it my way, not be as ultra aggressive. And interestingly enough, later in some of those later on heats, the people who did have the massive stacks and went completely crazy didn't always go so well for them.
yeah, namely me too. I had 500 chips at one point. Thought I could do whatever I needed to do. Chips are meant to be sat on and wait till you have a guy who's putting in chips wrong. Just wait. If you don't find that time, then gamble.
Chips are meant to be sat on?
How many times do I have to say that? How many times do I have to say that philosophy before I live it? I wonder.
Do as I say, not as I do. So Rast has 3-bet this in second position to Mizzi's under the gunner with J9.
I mean, he's going to win it, right?
Is he?
I think so, but why do this?
And
Buddy,
he processed that information into a 4-bet.
It looks like he's saying, I'm going to find out exactly if you have aces, ace, king, kings. Right now, I'm going to get clean information. If you have 10s, you'll probably fold. This is like with a hand with Jack 9 that just plays great with position, looking at the flop, whatever, just call. You don't have to ISO 3 it, you know. With some people, I would do that with 8-4 of clubs if I had to, but why bother doing this against a guy like Mizzi who just wants to prove that he's a genius as well? Everyone wants to be a genius.
I mean, how deep does Rast have to be? He's just been 4-bet. Right now, a 5-bet would be all in. I mean, is he prepared? Is he really prepared to go that deep?
I think if Rast ever found a way to go all in, it's a fold. I mean, but it's not going to happen. Okay, I don't understand why these guys are doing this, and I'm not in this hand. I don't know what they're thinking. I'm giving up. I'm giving up.
He's 5-bet.
I give up.
5-bet it.
I give up.
He 5-bet it with Jack 9.
I give up.
These guys aren't playing deep enough to 5-bet.
I don't think so either. I don't understand what's going on. I'm officially not qualified to sit here. I'm just going to watch and try and learn something.
You're calling reckless. You're calling reckless on Rast or Mizzi or both.
The whole thing, it's just so spiraled out of control. Mizzi was supposed to already have won this, but Rast is like, all right, I know that you know all that stuff, but it's just too much. Just sit there with your play Jeff G style and don't go through all this. That's what I say.
Rast says he's put in 85,000 out of his 250. Does it even look like he can pass?
Is Mizzi just going to fold?
Sorel's laid it down.
That one hurt, Rusty.
He just went 5 deep.
I don't even get that.
He went 5 deep.
Rusty went jungle there.
That was like Tarzan.
I don't know. I'm a spectator kid.
7-4 suited, huh? I have standards, Scott, okay? My standards are way above that. I have standards.
Heat 1 and Brian Rast got off to a bad start.
If you don't flop it, it's done. That's a good flop.
Taking just 1 point for 7th place. He fared slightly better in Heat 2, taking 5 points. Brian didn't play again until Heat 5. By then, he was adrift at the bottom of the league and needed a big result. What came next was the biggest call in poker history.
This has to be a bluff. Okay, this has to be a bluff. I don't think I could respect myself tomorrow if you bluff me here.
See, they call.
He's the best!
Oh my God.
He is the best!
Ladies and gentlemen, who's the best? You're the best.
I was talking myself out of it, and then I just re-upped. I just put the balls on the table and said, it's time to go home. Go big or go home.
He used those chips to full advantage, taking down maximum points.
Good match, man. Good game.
A second place in the last heat completed Rast's turnaround from 0 to hero in the league and earned him a spot at the final table.
I think the final table is full of a bunch of good players. I think it's going to be very competitive. There should be some really good poker. I feel honored to be here with them, and you know, I'm going to compete. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to play tough and see where the cards fall at the end.
The Party Poker Premier League final from the Playground Poker Club continues after the break.
Season 7 of the Party Poker Premier League promised much, and so far it has delivered. We've had drama and excitement, and tonight the final table is living up to expectations. Who will be the new Premier League champion? Let's head back to the table.
So good. Is it 3-6?
Playground Poker Club getting loud,
right.
not
3-6.
just
Sorry.
at this final table with the non-stop banter, but it's starting to fill up in there. A bunch of guys coming in for these daily satellites, try and get into the WPT main event next week.
Yep, and there's a $1,000 tournament starting tomorrow. Koon and Coleman both with hands. And the A7 gross, happy to have gotten out of the ripple.
Well, Coleman is not a big three-better in the early levels, Phil, but Koon is already down to, you know, he's starting this hand with like 45 big blinds type of thing. So I wonder if Coleman might feel like it's the kind of stack I can put pressure on with a 3-bet.
Making it go up to like 9 or 10 big blinds without something even full.
We raised 24,000 total.
He's put in 24. I mean, you know, can Koon make a 4-bet here without committing his stack? He's only got 175K.
So I went 2 to 6 big blinds, huh? Well, no, I think Koon's just going to fold. It's just, this is the grossest spot for King Jack. It's just absolutely horrible.
You're not really crazy.
Even Queen Jack, you would think maybe has, because like what you're worried about is Ace King and Kings. This is.
What did you start the hand with around?
175.
Oh wow! Look at that flop.
Koon went for the peel and was partially rewarded. Yeah.
It's going to be hard to take. I mean, look, he's just got a king with a jack kicker. It's, wow, I love these little hands. These are math riddles that are just straightly already solved. You have the nut. You have a queen for a straight, an ace for an overpair, a club. Your hand has massive EV against a ton of hands. You would love a 10 to just fold if the guy is queen 10 or king jack. Ultimately, you want those hands to fold. Sometimes, that's why sometimes I find myself over-shoving. I'm like...
And Jason Koon, right now he can't do anything but put down that tongue depressor and say, right? I mean,
well, you have to call.
wide.
If a club comes, Koon's going to get lucky. Koon can get away if a club comes. He doesn't even have a club. If he had the king, jack of clubs or whatever, but... So he got really lucky. This saves Koon from potentially, you know, siphoning off more chips. So now Coleman knows, all right.
It's more bluffy. It's more bluffy of Coleman to bet here, isn't it? Because there's fewer hands he would bet for value, and a lot of clubs he would check back. Does that make sense?
He would check back tons. I think he would bet a queen and an ace. Can he check here? No, he's going to go for it. He has to. It's too exploitable, I guess. If you check there, it's too readable. Because your bottom line is you're betting here without ace or queen of clubs a decent amount of time, and you have to, you know, camouflage those bets, so to speak, with a bet here. Does that make sense, Jesse?
It absolutely does. And Jason Koon is officially in trouble. The kind of trouble that you sometimes don't get out of, Phil.
Right. Well, this hand, like an offsuit jack, would. This makes Koon think that he should still hold on.
I'm all in. All in.
Now.
And he had to know this was coming, Jason Koon. He peeled. He called the flop. He called the turn. Wow, and he managed to let go on the river.
Yep.
And he's in bad shape. I think he's under 100,000. Meanwhile, Dan Coleman's just gone chip leader.
Huge board changing card every street. Kid just keeps firing.
Keeps firing.
Repped a different thing every street. Didn't care.
By the way, that pot really hurts JG because Coleman's right after JG, and JG versus Coleman in this format, I'm taking Coleman. And position with Coleman, that's tough. I mean, JG's going to have a tough road because later, you know, when it's three-handed. I'm not talking about now. Now the squeeze game, JG's got that covered right there, along with Coleman.
Might be soon enough. I would love to be here for.
But when it's three-handed, I like Coleman's chances.
They never said it was going to be easy. And for Jason Koon, it's gotten very hard indeed, down under 100K in chips. Just passed a load over to Dan Coleman, who's taken over the chip lead from Jeff Gross.
Fold.
Some standard folds, 4-3 of hearts fold, 7-6 folds. Oh, this is, especially after that last hand, Coleman's feeling like ice crystals forming around the bay windows. He's loving this.
And we're in a spot right now, Phil, where we basically have yet to see hands turned over at this final table.
Right, no one's.
We saw Seiver's ace-7. That's the only hand that's been turned over on the river.
Look at this. Rast wakes up with King Kong. How in the world, like, wow, against such a real hand.
How does he not get on here?
And he's been given action with his Jack Nines. Now to camouflage those Jack Nine bets, you re-raise your kings. That's right.
And, I mean, Coleman is completely within his rights to slip a lid here, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. He has Rasty covered, only by 250, but still, if things go horrible, Coleman's sitting with 250. I think flatting is completely reasonable here, although almost everyone. He raised. I mean, this is the standard line.
We raised 67,000 total.
And what is about to happen now?
Rast
is going to open that little vampire hoodie and
he's
pounce.
thinking, do I flat or do I raise? Now, flatting is great because if your opponent, if an ace flops,
there's already 106,000 in there.
So he has to put in 67, then there'll be 180.
Position.
Oh, he's too short. He's putting it in.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's firing 3 barrels, right?
I mean, yeah, he loves his hand. He's just trying to think, could my opponent fold if I put this all in? And he has, like, he raised.
I'm all in. We raise all in call.
And Dan Coleman raised his eyebrows. The insta call. He knows he's in trouble. He had a plan, so did Rast.
Wow.
And
I thought Rast thought that it was too big to raising it, and I was wrong. They got it all in.
I just think, Phil, that
two flush draws.
That Jack 9 must have had something to do with it. It was the second time Rast had put in the 5-bet, and Coleman said it's too big a coincidence that if there's not an ace on this board, we have a new chip leader. How about that?
Yep.
Do you feel it?
I feel it. Actually, it's more outs. This is if you're in the ace-king spot, you want this flop. Pop a jack, pop runner club, pop an ace. There's all sorts of juice for this ace-king.
This is a big pot.
Pop a jack and mama bullet.
Popping a club, that's powerful. Keeps the jack, ace, and now the club's still alive.
Wow, look at Rast. He's really sweating this.
This is a huge
He's sweating
sweat.
this.
This is different. You know, you go out here, it's 40 or 50 grand versus 400 dimes winning it. This is.
Come on, ace. Ace of hearts.
Dang!
10 of clubs, bullet popped.
That's it for King Rast.
King Rast is over and out. That is insane.
Wow. He's caught some good cards in this Premier League, but he'll likely not forget that river card, Phil.
He likely
ended
won't.
Brian Rast tournament.
He really won't. And I'll tell you this, my prediction now is Coleman by a landslide. He has the chips. He's got more of the flow, I think. Wow, poor Rast.
He's taken it
poor
well.
Rast. He put his everything on the line with that ace-8 of clubs. I thought he had to go all the way to second or first because of that.
nearly $1 million for Dan Coleman. Phil, that's like almost half the chips in play.
And look what Koon did. Koon with less than 100,000 has survived. And then in the middle of the pack we have Seiver, Mizzi. They're actually middle bottom, and then Gross like second place. Looks like really a lot of chips, but can he hold on to it?
Will you come back and play again?
Yeah, I'll come back and play again. I really enjoyed the format. For me, the kind of math, like thinking, figuring out, oh, this is how I need to play now because I have this many points, and this is how well I need to do, and like, oh, I can play really aggressive now or really tight now. I mean, I enjoyed that, and I personally think I did a pretty good job of figuring out the good spots and whatever. So it was a lot of fun, and I mean, even more than that, like everyone out here was great. Like I love doing the commentary with Jesse. And I mean, it was a good experience. I'd definitely come to the next time if you guys have me.
We would love to have you back. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, chips-wise, sure I come a lot more. Maybe get third.
Jason Koon has just made $20,000 for answering the attendance call, I am here.
That's right. Not a year of beers.
By the way, one thing that could happen is if Koon goes out, Gross will be in the small blind when Coleman's in the big blind. And everyone knows that no one likes to raise Coleman, and that could be really good for Jeff Gross because, you know, Coleman loves those big blind defends and re-raises and stuff. Although JG really will, I promise you this, JG's getting top 3, and then if the cards go his way and he can felt that third player, it'll be him and Coleman heads up.
Phil, let's be fair. There's only 5 left. He's second in chips. Top 3 is not a.
Oh, it's not world
really
beater
outside.
yeah,
You're not really going that far outside the box here.
That's true. That's in the box.
There's 5 left. He's second in chips. 1 player is on fumes.
Now I know why. When Antonio says if you were inside of a barn, I don't think you could hit a wall with a baseball. Now I see what he's talking about. You know.
I was going to bring out the pump
Scott Seiver flatted the ace-king to the Mizzi Open.
Huh. Super camo. Now, the camo superness of it loses its punch on these kind of boards.
Well, don't you think it's partly based on the fact that Jason Koon is so short-stacked?
It's a ton to do with that.
$60,000 right now for 5th and $80,000 for 4th. So Scott Seiver trying, I guess, not to go broke pre-flop in case Mizzi has a pocket pair type of thing.
Well, here Seiver's decided that I've slow played it. I can have a lot of that board. And now look at this. Mizzi, for the first time in the hand, realizes like now he has a ton more outs. So Jack, 10 king, 6. He's thinking, how do I get my equity? If I bet, did my opponent have a 6? I mean,
this is the second time people getting sticky with Mizzi. Obviously,
Sticky with Mizzi. It sounds like a new like sitcom show on NBC. Sticky with Mizzi. Like there's something going on.
It's
is Mizzi thinking he can get a bet through? I don't. But Mizzi knows if he checks, it's going to look so weak that he might just get bet off the hand.
That's funny.
Mizzi found a bet and took the money. It sure does look like the ace-king can let it go.
The Party Poker Premier League final table continues after the break.
Oh my God, I can't throw that one out there. It crushed this kid's dream. I saw his face. He was like,
I do not agree to that. That was some crazy shenanigans.
Welcome back. We have a table of 5 now here at the Premier League final as Brian Rast busts out in last place. His title ambitions are over. Let's get back to the action.
Brian, commiserations. I'm guessing you didn't kick any chairs or break any windows, but
No.
I can't be feeling great.
No, it's pretty frustrating. I really feel like I played well these last couple heats and even today. And I don't know. I mean, that's kind of what happened. So here I am from that empty seat in chair number 1 to the chair in the broadcasting room. I'd probably rather still be in seat 1, but it's fun to be here, and I'll get to see who wins and how they play. So I mean, I've been playing with all these guys for a week now.
Figured it out because a lot of people are the opposite. Like, do you know how many people wanted him to do choice? 12,000. Like, everyone. He was giving free rolls. Like,
Seiver seems. I mean, obviously he's always focused when he plays poker, but I feel like he feels that he's got a second chance at life.
You know, he got the good seat draw on heat number 6. He obviously beating Duhamel was not easy. Oh, here we go.
What up? Oh, yeah, there we are. He's pretty short. I mean, Seiver's going to call this with King Jack.
It's not even about self-improvement.
Unfortunately for him, Ace 6 has been folded.
79? Call. Call.
Yeah, Seiver's, it's just not enough. That's the point.
Run it twice.
11 big blinds.
Yeah,
Yes.
They're going to run it twice.
I would have liked to run mine twice.
Yeah.
I'll just chop it if you want.
I'd love to.
Okay.
Just take my equity.
Done.
Let me have equity.
No need to run it.
I do not agree to that.
Mizzi.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go to. We're gonna have to see a board.
We're not going to see that.
So Jason Koon all in here.
With a huge flop.
Great flop.
Now you guys
for
agree to chop,
Koon.
right? Yeah, now. Now everyone
All
agrees
the
to chop.
black jacks for Scott.
Just dodging the king or jack is huge. You know?
He goes
He's
nuts
done that.
still.
He's,
Whoa.
Wait, what?
That was a
Hey,
ball.
what's this supposed to be that? He's like, oh, they don't want that card. It's just card switch. I want to see what that third burn is after the hand.
right.
What was
Everyone
that?
knew it was
he saw
the
it was a
king.
jack, like Jack his face. He's like, oh, we can't put that one out.
Yeah, it's true.
That was some crazy shenanigans. Right? He's like, oh, let's not put this card out. Just slide this third burn here. I'm calling you out on that being a king or a jack.
Yeah, if no one objects, they can look at it.
But I think the standard of dealing at this club is exceptional.
It is.
Third burn.
I have to say.
I mean, it's 100%. Without doubt, that third burn was a king or a jack.
I got somebody on my team.
That was insane.
79.
79.
Blackjack.
You got him on the payroll, huh?
That was sick. I got
I'm
you
not
later,
even joking. I saw that right away. He card switched.
Sick. He saw it. He was like.
I mean, I shouldn't be able to get these feelings right all the time, but
Yeah,
every time. I would have bet it was a king or a jack.
Oh my God!
I saw his face. He was like,
Oh my God! Can't throw that one out there. It crushed this kid's dreams.
Heat 1 saw Jason Koon play perfectly, but he got cold decked. First by Jungle Man.
I'm so good at poker.
And then by Dan Coleman.
It's like unreal. How do I get out of this place?
He finished up with 3 points. Heat 2 and his luck changed, flopping trips against Seiver's flush.
I know what you mean.
All the money went in, and Koon spiked to 7 to give him a full house.
Sorry, buddy.
He used these chips wisely, taking down the Heat for maximum points, putting him to the top of the league. Fortune turned in Heat 3.
This is like ridiculous.
Koon couldn't stop Sorel Mizzi's rampage and notched up just 3 points. In Heat 5, he should have been in heads up.
Good timing.
But Gross hit runner
For Jeff. I'm not even actually surprised.
to keep himself in the game. Koon could hang on no more.
No, my mind's just absolutely blown.
Good luck.
And notched up 9 points. He had to watch Brian Rast take a top 4 spot from him from the commentary booth and push him into the playoff zone. There, he met Daniel Jungleman Cates and took him apart, taking it in straight games.
I was actually thinking to myself last night, like, why is this, it's kind of affecting me more than most tournaments. And then I got thinking, like, 1, it's been a grind. 2, there's been some really unfortunate things happen. But most importantly, it's just one of those really cool things where you're competing against a lot of the peers that you admire most. And it's a show that I've been watching since the beginning of my poker career, and I'm here, and I'm playing it, and I want to win the damn thing.
So Koon doubles up to about 170,000. Seiver only 2 big blinds ahead of that. So we're back where we started, which is Seiver and Koon.
So, can I ask, what kind of monster did Mizzi have on that hand where he 4-bet me?
King, queen.
Oh, he had king, queen. Wow.
Offsuit.
Offsuit.
Now that you're off the final table, Brian, really, aside from Scott Seiver, Sorel Mizzi is the only sort of big-time live tournament champion. Like, been there before, been on TV, you know, seen the $1 million first prize and gone out and grabbed it a bunch of times.
Yeah, you know what? I know
Koon's made a WPT
honestly, I don't
final.
really know everybody's history super well. Yeah, I mean, I know Mizzi's won some tournaments, at least one.
Well,
I know Seiver's won a bunch. Or like, because Seiver plays all the high rollers. I mean, Mizzi plays some of them.
And right now, Mizzi's thinking, if things go wrong here, I still have 200,000, which would put me in 5th pole position. But still, it's like, My hand in a vacuum is good enough to raise.
Yeah, I mean, I think he feels like with Koon only having like 20 bigs, he's fine getting in with Koon here with ace-jack suited, which I mean, I think it's the right play. You know, you're going to get folds a decent amount. Occasionally, some of the hands you dominate might either shove or call, like the hand Koon has. Like, he's going to feel incentivized to call. Call. Yeah, see, so this is a great reason to
he thinks and look at ace-jack has tons of value over jack-10.
So
that overcoat.
I mean, this hand makes a lot of sense on both sides right now. Like, I'm not going to really fault either player for how they're playing, although it's a very bad spot for Koon. It's going to be very hard for him to win this spot. Now it's impossible.
Is Mizzi too big to bet here? I think so. I'd rather stab at this pot with, you know, Queen 10 and the 10 of hearts or air. But I mean, when I have this,
the problem is that when you check here, I mean, like, it's like very fishy because I would c-bet this board with all my air. So I would.
You have to disguise your.
You just c-bet with your good hand and hope they have something to go with. That's what I would do.
Yeah, Mizzi's
probably the right line.
Quite clever in these spots. I mean, we remember him with that flopping the full house with that ace-6 and managing to get Coleman to do his nuts. And Scott Seiver would have had the king high flush there. Did you see it? He folded king 5 of hearts.
Little did Scott know he would have just gotten.
Seiver would be out.
Felted. There's just, I mean, he'd losing all of his stack there 100% of the time.
Oh, Mizzi chipping up, not far from 400,000. Sorry, he's only 100,000 behind gross.
I mean, I would almost always have 3-bet ace-jack off. The only reason why I think about calling is like some of the value for ace-jack suited.
Comes when your opponent misses and bets, or you
get those flush draws and whatever. I don't know. It's.
Or he c-bets on any ace flop and you have the ace and you just flat.
It's just a spot that's pretty close, really, is what it boils down to. So you can kind of do either way. And I think it's probably most people 3-bet, but I think it's fine to call. It's just folding is bad. That's the one you can't do.
That's the thing you can't do.
You know a lot of words.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. You know, there's just so many words that everyone knows.
Wow.
Like,
Koon wakes up with queens here in little blind, and
raise 16,000.
Wow. I mean, this very easily could go all in pre.
Well, it's standard. Actually, anything else would be bad. I mean, he's only got 15 or 16 bigs. So
I don't actually hate this play by
Why?
Coleman. I don't know.
He's against 16 big blinds.
Like 6,000 words.
I sometimes do it too. It's weird. You're in position. You play post. Okay, now it's going all in.
Right, but do you think it's because he thought it smelled funny for Koon to min raise off of 16 bigs?
A part of that is just the range of hands that call you. I mean, you're not loving it with king jack suited. I mean, it's a spot where maybe I call king jack suited and shove king jack, like just kind of mixing my range up that way.
I wonder if what Koon's range is for min raising small blind, big blind off of 16 bigs.
You know, this is
from garbage. It's more likely from what he's been doing when he has weak hands to raise and try and fold, or raise and win the pot. And when he has big hands, he likes to see the value of it.
Well, I mean, he did min raise, so he's not getting folds a lot. So he definitely has like a reasonable hand. I think Koon is folding some out of the small blind there, like a decent amount.
Koon is like couldn't be happier. He just doesn't want to lose his opponent.
I mean, the best play here with no draws on the board is definitely just a call. Because if you call here, you're repping, you still might have ace high, you still could have 2 8s or 9s. It's pretty hard to have at least a lot of those hands if you rip it.
Right, and then the bluffers can get another bet out, and a jack can get another bet out.
And you're not getting beat by much.
And
very good play. I love the play. I think a mistake a lot of players would make here is just to have ripped it in.
Yeah.
And with no flush draw on the board, there's just not much you're repping there. And now you just
he's doing well to represent like 7s, 8s, and 9s here as well.
Yeah,
right?
maybe even ace king, like ace queen, you know. So, I mean, Coleman's really like probably going to bet his hand for value. I think, like.
Now.
Let's see if Coleman figures out what Koon is doing.
No, he's going to bet it, and Koon's going to.
Oh wow!
Coleman is the best that has ever lived. Coleman is the greatest that has ever lived. He folds and doesn't even let his opponent know how strong he was.
Wizard beats the short stacker.
Coleman saving some chips.
King jack? Oh, wow, it's a beat.
Koon is like,
it's
damn,
a beat for
how
him.
did I not double up now?
It's a beat for you.
So.
And actually, you can't blame Koon. You just have to tip your hat to Coleman, right? Dan Coleman way out in front with over 800K after knocking out Brian Rast.
Gross in second with 446,000. Mizzi sandwich in the middle, and Seiver and Koon slightly adrift.
This is turning out to be one of the Premier League final tables. So far, it's lived up to the hype, and next time we edge ever closer to finding out who will take down the Party Poker Premier League title here in Montreal.
You got the money, you got the looks.
I just play my cards, that's all I do.
Scott just wants to fire off on me, queen high.
Wow, what would the wizard say?
Ooh, we got ourselves some outs.